So, um, Ashes of Roses is the piece we're performing on April 6th at 3 o'clock at Trinity Lutheran Church in Lansdale. It's scored for orchestra, choir, three soloists, and soprano saxophone.
Mm.
And as many of you know, we are making the East Coast premiere of the full orchestral version of this piece. And so I just kind of want to kind of go into it and just ask some questions about it and kind of hear your insight into it. And I think the first question I would ask is why a requiem?
Mhm. Well, I think it had to do with what I was studying at St. Olaf at the time. I think um, I sang in the big chorus, the
Hmm.
chapel choir, which did the pieces with orchestra, which was super fun. So we did, I think, the Mozart Requiem. We did, I think, also the Fauré Requiem,
Mm.
and we did Elijah, which is a huge piece.
I love that piece.
And also like the Lords in Lux Aeterna, we did that piece. Um, and I really fell in love with that genre, that those big
Oh
pieces.
yeah.
And yeah, and the other thing I loved is I had this wonderful choir director, Robert Schultz. I don't know if you know him, but
Mhm.
he was
Yep.
also a composer. And he would sit at the piano and we'd be in rehearsal and he would talk about, why did the composer make that decision? And I was like, this is why I'm here, is to,
Speaking my language.
that was exactly right. So I know that I wrote this big piece at the end of my time there because of my experience in that choir and with him as a conductor. And yeah, and well, and I also just tend to think really big.
Mhm.
So that yeah, that's part of it.
And what made you choose, so like for instance, like there's no sanctus in here.
Mm.
There's Agnus Dei, but you take a scripture passage and you put it over top of it. What made you A, remove some of like the movements that we would typically find in a in a requiem, and
Yeah.
also pair in like what made you decide the specific text that you took from the huge Dies Irae? You know, the that massive sequence, for those of you who don't know, is a very long part of the Requiem Mass. And what made you kind of pick apart those specific text and put it into your piece?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think so much of one's journey as a composer is figuring out what your voice is. Not just what your musical voice sounds like, the harmony and that you use and the shape of your melodies, but also what does your music say? What is the meaning behind it all? And so I think choosing my own text was a way to really put my own slant or my own personality and beliefs into the Requiem. Um, and I know that one of the questions I get all the time is about the ending, because the ending is also a bit different than most requiems. And I think part of it is because um, I had studied some requiems, but I was not so entrenched in the study of them that I couldn't think beyond what it could be.
The
You know?
formula.
Yeah, yeah. And because I remember that being such a surprise when people said, why did you end it this way? It's so unconventional. And I just kept thinking, well, the Lux Aeterna, that's that's what it sounded like to me. Um, but so there is something really beautiful in the naivety of being a young composer
Mm.
um, and not knowing what to do or what not to do, and just following those instincts.
I guess when you're saying now the how young you were and as almost as a project, if you look at this piece now with a different set of eyes, do you think you would have done it in the same way? Or do you thinking, oh man, I was so young. What was I thinking? Right? I would never do that now. Like this is so nuts. Or is it just like, you know what? This still resonates with me, today.
It does still resonate with me today, and it also feels very much me. Like if you listen to Jocelyn Hagen 2024, you can still hear those things that are in ashes. They're still there. And I I was gonna say something about. Oh, I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, it happens. If it comes back, you can say it again.
It is, it's gonna come back. Can you can you remind me what we were talking about just right before then?
We were talking about like the text, the Dies Irae and the Sanctus and the ending. Um,
Oh, found it, found it.
there we go. See?
So back in, I think it was 2011, I was commissioned to finish it. So, like many projects, when you're, young and bold and beyond your capacity, I took on more than I could finish for this senior project in my senior year. So the Dies Irae was not part of it in the original premiere,
Oh,
and neither was the Agnus Dei. So
interesting.
I was commissioned by Patty Connors and the College of St. Kate's and her St. Catherine Choral Society. She wanted to do it and she wanted me to finish it, which was such a wonderful gift to dive back into the score, finish the movements that I wanted to include. And then I also like fixed little things like the spacing of this chord here and there, the voice leading at this moment. And yeah, so I actually did kind of get a chance to go back in and update it.
Okay.
Yeah, a little over 10 years ago.
We're going to continue this conversation. So don't go away.
Yeah.